I'm Peter Block here at the American Heart Association annual meeting in chilly Chicago. And with me is Doug Mann from WashU. Doug has reported on the Augment heart failure study, an interesting study that, believe it or not, uses seaweed. Doug, tell me about the Augment heart failure study.
So Augment-Hf is a trial where we inject alginate into the midventricular wall. There are 15 beads that go around, and the principle is that you're actually reducing LV wall stress. So the concept behind it is very similar to what we explored in the ACORN trial, using a net to reduce wall stress. But again, it's just another mechanical means of reducing wall stress, Peter.
Well, the ACORN trial sort of had some interesting outcomes, and now you're using the same general concept, except the seaweed, what, thickens the left ventricular wall?
So the concept really is that by injecting the bead into the wall, you actually lead to an increase in wall thickness, which according to Laplace's law will reduce LV wall stress. In pilot mechanical studies where they've actually modeled this, they've actually been able to demonstrate a reduction in wall stress, at least experimentally.
Okay, so this is put in surgically and possibly transcatheter, I would assume, in the future. Tell me what Augment heart failure showed us.
Okay, so the primary goal of the study was really safety and efficacy. The safety endpoints were met. There were acceptable 30-day mortality surgically. And then the interesting part of the study was that there were a number of hardwired endpoints. The primary endpoint was the peak VO2, which increased from 3 to 6 months. The control group actually had no increase in peak VO2, whereas there was a significant increase in peak VO2 in the treatment group both at 3 and 6 months.
So, Doug, I looked at those numbers, and the VO2 increase maybe 0.7 or 1, and I thought to myself, man, that's not very much. Tell me how important that is.
So in the heart failure world, it could take you from being on the transplant list to not being on the transplant list. So I think, again, if you're an Olympic athlete, the increase of about 1 would not be significant. But in the heart failure world, it was significant. Furthermore, there were a number of sensitivity analyses, such as the 6-minute walk test also increased. New York Heart Association decreased by about 1.5 classes. So a number of other ancillary measurements which suggest that there's a functional improvement.
So what's the next step here? You have a trial that has some indicators that this may be useful.
Yeah, I think that the Augment-Hf trial forms the basis for going forward with a larger phase 2, 2A, 2B trial to show safety and efficacy, or at least efficacy, in a much larger cohort.
Well, since I'm an interventionalist, do you think this is going to be transcatheter rather than surgical?
So I know the company is working on a transcatheter device that will go in the epicardial space, and the beads can be injected actually by the cardiologist. So there's hope for you and me.
Excellent. So there you have it. Who knew? Seaweed in the left ventricular wall, and in fact seems to make a difference. Thank you, Doug.
Thank you.